Are you live?
I'm live.
Like, is it giving you sound on that? Mm-hmm. Yep, we're good.
Thank you. All right, welcome, and welcome to the April 24th, 2023 Board of Aldermen meeting. I now call this meeting to order. We need to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I understand that we have 3 veteran residents who are here tonight, and I would like them to come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance if they would. And we're honored to have your presence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And thank you for your service. Ask the city clerk and all roll for attendance.
Alderman Allen? Alderman Even?
Here.
Alderman Francisco?
Here.
Alderman Holman?
Here.
Alderman Hughes?
Here.
Alderman Moreland? Alderman Perot?
Here.
And Alderman Weezahan.
Here.
Mayor Reem is presiding, and we do have a quorum.
Thank you very much. I seek a motion and second to approve the minutes from the April 10th, 2023 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion or amendment? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, discussion is the April 4th, 2023 election results. Before I ask the city clerk to certify the election, I think outgoing Alderman Ryan Ward and Pam Holman would each like to have a couple seconds. You go ahead first.
So I just wanted to take a moment to thank the residents, the city staff for the opportunity to learn and understand how our community is run. As an alderman, I respect the overall civic duties and the ability to provide leadership, policy, and guidance for our community. It's been a great experience. When I took the role, I wanted to help our community by just using logic and reason in making decisions. Over these last 4 years, I really appreciate the opportunity to learn and understand how every citizen can drive around, feel safe, and enjoy the amenities of town and country. We are a very lucky community. We have really good problems. We're fortunate for a great city staff, a wonderful police department, and our fire and EMS department of West County Fire and EMS. The city operates efficiently. We are fortunate. We work on our budget and we collaborate as an organization and as a city. We have both the city's needs and the residents' needs in mind as we progress into the future. I want to take a special moment to acknowledge and appreciate the following: Ashley McNamara. She makes a lot of the behind the scenes in our city run. Morgan Pepper, thank you very much, both of you. Bob Shelton, our city administrator. All the commissioners who serve on public works and police, fire, MES, and all the other commissions that are there. My fellow aldermen here and the other versions of the previous boards. My future replacement, Joe Kinsella, and both mayors, Sean and Dalton and Charlie Green. Thank you very much. Lastly, I'd like to thank my family, my kids, Janie, Annie, and Patrick, my wife, Mary Kate. They've been very considerate with our family time, and they also have to listen to me talk. So this opportunity has been very rewarding, and I appreciate being a citizen of town and country.
I appreciate you being here because I know you're not feeling the best tonight.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Well, Alderman Moreland, well said. And I did not prepare any statements tonight. I was in urgent care here today, but was able to make it here. But I echo everything that you said, and I really did value my 4 years serving the city, serving the residents. I appreciate the residents' confidence in me to lead Ward 1. I appreciate the Board of Aldermen's confidence in me to lead as president of the Board of Aldermen. It is bittersweet leaving tonight, but I really did value my time. I appreciate my family, your patience, as we went through this journey together over the past 4 years. But I happily pass the baton to Ben Schwerer, who will do a fantastic job, who currently sits on our Public Works Commission and now will be one of our leaders in work. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Board of Aldermen. Thank you, residents.
Thank you. I will now ask the city clerk to certify the April 4th, 2023 election results.
Mayor and current Board of Aldermen, these are the official results of the April 4th, 2023 general municipal election. For Alderman Ward 1, Ben Schwer, 255 votes. For Alderman Ward 2, Holly Even, 252 votes. For Alderman Ward 3, Joe Kinsella, 252 votes. For Alderman Ward 4, Jeffrey Perot, 246 votes. For Proposition U, yes, 594 votes. No, 719 votes, which failed that measure. The officially certified results from the Board of Election will be attached to the minutes of tonight's meeting. And with that, I would welcome our outgoing friends to exit the dais and invite the Alderman-elect to take their spots.
Excuse me, the outgoing, we have a little something for you.
I don't have a board yet. I need to swear them in. I mean, you can just give them to them if you want, but we can't do business yet.
You want to swear them in first? Okay, one second.
Sorry, we're just bossing you one more time. Mayor, with that, if I could ask the Alderman-elect and Alderman Even and Alderman Prote to stand, we'll do the oath all at one time. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Julie Even,
Being sworn upon oath,
being sworn upon oath,
state that I possess all the qualifications
state that I possess all the qualifications
prescribed by law
prescribed by law
for the office of Alderman,
for the office of Alderman,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the state of Missouri,
and the state of Missouri,
the provisions of all laws of the state of Missouri affecting cities,
the provisions of all laws of the state of Missouri affecting cities,
and the ordinances of the city of Town and Country,
and the ordinances of the city of Town and Country,
and that I will faithfully demean myself in office.
and will faithfully demean myself in office.
Congratulations. Mayor, I'm prepared to call roll.
Call roll.
Alderman Allen. Alderman Even.
Here.
Alderman Francisco.
Here.
Alderman Hughes.
Here.
Alderman Kinsella.
Here.
Alderman Perot.
Here.
Alderman Schwer.
Here.
And Alderman Wiesehan.
Here.
Mary is still presiding, and we now have a new quorum.
Before two of you leave, I have a proclamation for each one of you, outlining, and I won't embarrass you by reading them all, because I'm pretty lengthy. And I get bored easily. Both of you have contributed highly to the city of the year. And personally, when I came on as mayor, I really didn't know what to expect. And to have two people who were just grounded in common sense, who were more than willing to look at both sides of an issue, who were thoughtful, did their homework, it's been a real treat. It's been a real treat. So I look forward to your replacements, but I will absolutely miss both of you. So I have a proclamation for each of you that take now. And flowers.
I'm going to do T. Ryan. Parting shot.
Yeah.
I'll call you tomorrow.
At this point, I would like to welcome Alderman Ben Schwer and Joe Kinsella and ask if they have reviewed previous meeting materials and the pertinent public meetings in order to be fully apprised or any post that may be taken as. Thank you very much. Next, Also, would like to recognize the board's opportunity to select and elect new president. Alderman Eden.
I would like to nominate Alderman Weezingham for board president.
Is there a second?
I just second it.
Any other discussion or other nominations? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Congratulations. Congratulations. I know you will do a great job. Two previous, Sue and Phil, I know you're. I will now seek the board's support to make the following chairman appointment, Alderman Kinsella to the Public Works Commission. Is there a motion and a second to approve?
Motion.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That carries unanimously. At this point, I'd recognize the board's opportunity to provide reports. Alderman Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank everybody who came out for our very first concert series. We had it last Friday night. We had really good turnout, especially for the cooler temperatures. But thanks for everyone for coming out. We'll have another one on May 19th, and we'll have one in June. We'll skip July and August because those are our hot months, and we'll do again another one in September. So, and then our next Parks and Trails meeting is May 15th at 6:31.
You know, there was a pretty good turnout.
It really was, yeah.
Considering it was chilly that night, there's a good turnout.
Yeah, it really was. So,
And I think the band was my friend Mike.
my
And he did a nice job. That's very nice. We had a good time.
yeah, it was a good night.
All right, unfinished business, bill number 23-14. Alderman, support of Alderman Hughes, Alderman ordinance is approved. Without objection, to the city clerk read the bill for the second time.
Mayor, before I read, I'll recognize that Alderman Weezahan and Alderman Allen are leaving the dais due to their previous recusals. Bill number 2314 is an ordinance amending Title 23 of Chapter 405 zoning regulations of the Municipal Code of the City of Town and Country, specifically Section 405.1800, Plan Development 1, Mason Point, and approving an amended final site development plan for Phase 3 at 13190 South Otter 40 Road. And before we move on, if I could just enter a few items for the record.
Sure.
All of the following items were distributed to the Board of Aldermen in advance of tonight's meeting and will be attached to the minutes. Number 1 is letter from John Nations on behalf of Lutheran Senior Services dated April 18th, 2023, 1 page. Number 2 is letter from Gerard Carmody McDonald on behalf of Jim and Tricia Newell, residents, dated April 24th, 2023, 1 page. Number 3 is updated list of opposition emails received by the city clerk, 6 pages. And number 4 is letter from Fred Rowland, resident, dated April 24th, 2023, 2 pages. Thank you.
And then I seek a motion and a second to approve.
What?
And-
I have a question.
Sure,
This is, you're talking about motion to continue, correct?
correct.
No, I'm so sorry.
No, I'm sorry, no.
Okay.
No. I'm just seeking to discuss this, so we need a motion second to discuss.
So for the record, the board cannot talk about this matter at all unless there's a motion and a second to do something before the body. So right now, there's a motion to approve. That does not signify what your vote would be or that continuance couldn't come later, but we do need something on the floor in front of the body at this time.
Second.
And now any discussion on that? Oh, we need-
So I would like to make a motion to continue this matter to the next Board of Aldermen meeting so that Lutheran Senior Services and the residents ideally can come to some sort of agreement and to move this in a forward direction either way.
And I would look for any other discussion on that.
We need a second on that motion to continue.
Is there a second?
Discussion can follow the second if there's further discussion.
I have some discussions I'd like to do.
And you would second it.
Okay,
second it.
Thank you. And then, yes, please.
Okay, so while I'm willing to grant additional time for an applicant when it's warranted, I'm also sympathetic to the neighboring property owners and what prolonging this matter unnecessarily means to them when no revisions have been brought forward. I'm not sure what is to be gained by an additional 2 continuance, given that the proposal in its current state is likely to fail based on what we heard at the April 10th meeting. In your request for continuance, you state you need more time to address issues raised in the last meeting, so I'd like to understand what those issues that you raised, what those issues are, and in what way you plan to address them. And I'm also curious if you think that the additional 2 weeks will result in any substantial change to the project that might require the staff to head back to planning and zoning. Because if the scope of the project changes in such a way that it does have to go back to P&Z, I'm just not sure what continuance does other than delay this matter. So I'm looking for a little bit more explanation on the project.
And we have one speaker, Mr. Nations, representing Mason Point, and what I would like is to have that question answered specifically. Not a general discussion of the project or something, but to Alderman Francisco's point, specifically why the board of Aldermen should consider that the salient points in that regard. I think it's a very fair question.
A couple of reasons, frankly. There were issues raised by the Carnegie McDonald firm at the April 10th meeting which require additional work. Okay, what we want is for the Board of Aldermen to be fully informed on every matter when they make a decision in this regard. I see Mr. Carmody's letter of April 24th. There's some things you should know, which will help illuminate this issue. It's not goes to the merits of the proposal. It's just about the motion to continue. Okay? Mr. Carmody has stated we've made an 11th hour request. For the record, we submitted this at 7:06 a.m. last Tuesday. We don't consider that 11th hour, maybe you do. But also what happened at the April 10th meeting is not what's described in Mr. Carmody's letter. There was a public hearing on this matter on March the 27th, 2023, which we all participated. It went on for 3.5 hours and it was adjourned at 10:42 p.m. We submitted a lot of documents, a lot of information. We had PowerPoints on the entire thing. We showed up on April the 10th, ready to discuss this matter, fully prepared to have a vote on it. On April the 10th, there was submitted additional information not provided to us in advance by Mr. Carmody. Mr. Carmody said in his letter that the additional material submitted on April the 10th was a follow-up to the public hearing and the request that had been voiced at the public hearing on March the 27th. That is not true. As a matter of fact, what happened that night is we got here. Mr. Carmody didn't provide the material to us. We got here, I got it about an hour before the meeting, and we started looking at it. What we found was there were some things in that material that required additional research. It's not uncommon. Show up at a meeting, you've got a whole lot of things. Okay, but what interestingly enough is we thought the public hearing had closed on March the 27th. We thought we were responding to the questions from that meeting. Mr. Carmody took the opportunity, contrary to what's in the letter, to submit additional information, which was not considered at all at the public hearing and was not even brought up. Mr. Carmody's PowerPoint ran more than 20 pages. The description of his PowerPoint in your minutes of that meeting reflect a whole lot of things. Nothing in the PowerPoint, nothing in the description of the minutes, nothing in his comments talked about recorded deed restrictions from more than 20 years ago, related agreements relating to that, other documents that were apparently found on the internet. All of this was submitted outside of the time of the public hearing. So at that meeting that night, we took it under advisement. We did the only thing that we could do because we got it really right before the meeting, because it was not provided to us by Mr. Carmody. And we simply asked for a continuance. Then the point of the continuance is not to give us more time. I mean, you spend a lot of time in meetings. I know what that's like. You have a lot of residents. We understand that. But in order for you to make the best decision, what you need to know is all of the information and all the facts applicable to this particular proposal. What we've experienced in the 3 meetings so far, March the 27th, April the 10th, and even today, on the day of the meeting, the opposition will start submitting things to the city. We don't do that. We submit our request a week in advance. We're more than happy to talk about the merits of any proposal. But when you start submitting things after the public hearing had been clearly closed,
which were not in response at all to questions, despite what the letter says, but completely additional information, we don't think it's unreasonable that we have additional time that it takes to respond to some of these things. Some of the things that have been said in these meetings, A, we do not agree with, B, we don't believe they're factual, and we'd like additional time because that puts you in the very best position in order to make a decision on this proposal. That's why we want the additional. We don't, believe me, my client, he'd love to have this thing decided. He's the one that has expended an inordinate amount of money in meetings over a long period of months, and we thought this was going to be decided on April the 10th. We arrived on April the 10th to find a 67-page packet that had a substantial portion of which was devoted to things which never were brought up in a public hearing. After the public hearing had closed, there was no question about it, there was no objection to it, he was allowed to file it. We've been very upfront with the Board of Aldermen in every meeting that we've attended. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not good, it's favorable, that's just the process. But what we do ask is that we have a fair opportunity to respond to things that have now been submitted outside of the public hearing and which do require additional research. They're talking about deed restrictions and agreements. First of all, we don't think they apply, but it requires some additional time on our part so you can be put in a position to make the best decision for this city and for your residents and frankly, for the petitioner to have a fair hearing.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Nations. Can you tell me, I know some of the issues that have been brought up is working with the neighbors, and it was told to me that you guys have met with neighbors on several occasions. Is that something that you're considering doing in the future to continue this process if granted the continuance?
Absolutely. We have a long history of working with the neighbors who are trying to do it. This facility has been there for a very long time and has been a part of this community for decades. We're happy to work with the neighbors.
Thank you. And although you did sign on, Mr. Carmody, would you like to speak for a second?
I certainly would, Judge. I say, Judge, I'm sorry, I haven't. I really will try to control my reaction to what Mr. Nations has told you. This is not about Mr. Carmody. This is about the residents of Town and Country who have legitimate objections to this project, plainly and simply. And the fact of the matter is, for him to get up and say what he just said, do you know we have not heard a whimper from them since your first meeting? We have not had a telephone call saying, Mr. Carmody, or Jerry, as we sometimes call each other, what can we do to resolve this? What is it that we could do? Have we gotten a response to that letter that he said was delivered 2 weeks ago? It was a 4-page letter with indentures, attached. 4 pages. You all read it and you all understand what it said. Very simply dealing primarily with what Mr. Alderman Holman had asked during the course of your proceeding. So the concept that we keep coming back, delaying a decision that these people are very concerned about, to what end? Alderman Francisco said, okay, what is it that you're gonna do? Nothing. We're just up here to say the same old, and we'll simply tell you, we may or we may not. Where was that phone call before we're here tonight? Where was their request for a continuance before Alderman Perot announced what he announced, and they jumped up and said, all of a sudden, we just got this letter. He said, I'm rejecting it, and they jump in and say, we just got this letter. Not the way they should be acting, not the way this board should consider what issues are before it, and I think I will leave it at that.
I appreciate your comments. The only other speaker signed up is Mr. Hellman, and you would like to speak now. Again, try to focus on whether or not they deserve a continuance or not. Is the focus of what we're talking about right now.
Mr. Mayor, I didn't sign up to speak about the continuance. I signed up to speak in opposition, but not for the continuance.
3 minutes. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Well, first of all, I wanted to publicly thank Alderman, I live in Ward 3, 14236 Maitland Woods Drive. I want to express my appreciation to Alderman Mortland for his service to our ward.
but I see he has left the building, and so, which I can understand. But publicly, we appreciate everything that Ryan has done, and I very wholeheartedly welcome and look forward to working with Joe Kinsella. I had an opportunity to get to know Joe. Those of us that have met him are very excited. He's eminently qualified, and I can tell you that all of my neighbors in Maine are really looking forward to getting to know Joe. Tonight, I speak in opposition, and for several reasons. First of all, this is really a test for our representative form of government. If we harken back to the civics lessons that all of us had in high school, you may remember the famous quote from Abraham Lincoln, that our form of government is of the people, by the people, and for the people. That's us as citizens. It does not say of the people, by the people, and for special interests. So where is the special interest in this case? The special interest is clearly Lutheran Senior Services. Some might say, well, how are they a special interest? Well, they are a business. It is true they are not for-profit business, but they are in business to generate revenue. And that's what this is all about. They wouldn't be asking for this expansion if it wasn't going to generate more revenue for them. And the representative admitted last time when we did comments that they have a business challenge. I mean, their business model is struggling, which we can appreciate. They have, in terms of our capitalistic society, they have an opportunity to generate revenue, but at whose expense? It's pretty clear in this case that their goal to generate revenue does come at someone's expense. And it's the expense of the immediate neighbors, primarily in Mason Woods, and those that are affected directly and have been affected directly. So tonight I would ask you to side on the side of for the people, by the people, for the people, not for the special interest. So I would encourage you to vote against this. I don't think that it makes sense for town and country for many reasons that we've all articulated in the past, and I won't bore you with those. But I believe that tonight is an opportunity to side with the citizens that you've been elected to represent. So please, I encourage you to reject this. Thank you.
Thanks for your comments. Any other discussion on the board? Okay. And so, at this point, I would ask to have a vote on whether or not
The motion before the body right now is to continue the matter, Bill 2314, to the meeting of May 8th. It's been first and seconded, so it's appropriate at this point to take a voice vote, or we can do roll if you prefer.
Let's do a roll.
Alderman Even?
Aye.
Alderman Perot?
Nay.
Alderman Francisco?
No.
Alderman Hughes?
Nay.
Alderman Kinsella?
Nay.
Alderman Even? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Alderman Schwer?
Aye.
It fails 4-2.
Thank you. Thank you. Next.
So that the motion to continue failed 4-2. So now the matter 2314 is before the body and open for discussion again.
So at this point, I'd like to discuss what I brought up at our last meeting. Given that the board has actively discussed being very mindful of the city's finances, I would like to say that I feel like if a property tax were to go through, or if a tax of any sort were to go through, that I would like Mason Point to be able to pay their fair share of that tax. And I've done some research with the help of our city attorney to bring forward an amendment. And I just feel like if we're gonna consider this, asking them to pay what is fair should tax come forward, that we would consider that amendment. I don't know if we want discussion about that, any questions about it, just go ahead and make my motion to amend.
I would say if you want to debate that specific amendment, you should make the motion, state it, and get a second.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to amend the bill by the addition of section B.9 in section 1 of the ordinance to read as follows. In the event that any property tax is adopted encompassing the PD1 area, it is a specific condition of the approval of this amendment that if it is determined that the consent order and judgment entered in cause number 15SL-CC02361, Lutheran Senior Services versus Jake Zimmerman, does not automatically subject the PD1 area to the payment of any such newly adopted real or personal property tax in accordance with said judgment and order, then the applicant and its successors and interests are required to execute any document and undertake any action necessary to extend the applicability of the judgment and order to provide for the collection of any newly adopted real and/or personal property tax.
Does that say,
What does that say?
if approved, they're subject to property tax?
Correct. Based on.
I'm sorry, before we debate it too much, can we get a second?
To discuss.
Yes,
To discuss.
that the amendment, in order to be explained further, would need a second.
I second that necessarily.
Mayor Alderman Schwer is seconded.
Okay. So, Alderman Francisco.
Okay, so you're saying today, and it's my understanding that once they hit 50% on independent living, that will trigger them to have to pay a property tax anyway?
Well, it's based on this, and I think I might ask for your help in
Yeah,
this.
because I'm trying to figure out, what the amendment is doing, because I thought that this was already covered in the existing.
So yeah, there is a consent order and decree that between Lutheran Senior Services and the St. Louis County Assessor that has an agreement that if the independent living exceeds 50% of the facility, it goes onto the tax roll, and at I think a 50%. Well, a 50% payment. However, if they then have exceed over 4% of benevolent care or revenue, then that goes from 50 to 25. So there are two separate. It can go on at 50 or go on at 25, but if they're above the 4%, that's the 25. So the question is whether, I don't know, it's certainly not explicit in the order from 2015 that it would apply to any newly adopted property tax. And obviously, as we stand here today, Town and Country doesn't have a property tax, but it may do in the future. And so I think the concern was making sure that if for some reason that order is interpreted as only applying to property taxes that existed at the time of the order, or for St. Louis County and existing taxing districts that are specifically named in it, then that any action would be undertaken to extend it. It's not. I don't know their position is 100% firm on whether it would or wouldn't automatically apply. So it's to try and catch that just in case. Correct.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification.
My point is I just want to make sure that should we move forward, if we're going to be asking residents to pay any sort of tax, that we have the ability at this moment in time to be able to ensure that they are going to be able to pay some portion of the tax, so that there's some level of equality there.
All right. Any other discussion? Can we do a roll call on that also?
Alderman Even.
Aye.
Alderman Schwer.
Aye.
Alderman Francisco.
Aye.
Alderman Kinsella.
Aye.
Alderman Hughes.
Aye.
And Alderman Perot.
Aye.
It carries unanimously on that amendment.
Thank you. So I think we're at the point where we can vote on this amended bill.
Barring any other discussion by the board, yes.
That's for roll call.
This is on the bill 2314 as amended.
Correct.
Alderman Perot.
Nay.
Alderman Even.
Aye.
Alderman Francisco.
Nay.
Alderman Hughes.
Nay.
Alderman Kinsella.
Nay.
And Alderman Schwer.
Aye.
It fails 4-2. 4 nays to 2. No. Yeses.
The next. Can we discuss the next bill? Because it may be a couple of one.
Yes, so do you mean the next agenda item?
Yes.
Agenda item 2 is the architectural review for this same project. Because bill number 2314 just failed to be approved, the underlying application is no longer applicable. So this agenda item would be rendered moot. So we don't need to take it up.
And we should perhaps call back to the Alderman.
Yeah, Morgan's going to grab them.
Right. Oh, and before we go on to the next one, and I should have called him out sooner. Is Councilman Mark Harder here?
Yes.
Could you come forward now at this point in time? I should have called you in earlier, but I apologize for that.
No problem whatsoever. I know you got important things going on tonight. Looks like a busy evening and a busy agenda.
My name is Mark Harder. I'm the councilman for District 7, which is west of here, west of basically Shetler Road. Your current St. Louis County councilman is Dennis Hancock, who calls on you and represents you at the county council. I just wanted to come by and just bring you up to date on a couple things. I've been touring a number of the municipalities and in West St. Louis County. And the reason why I have been is because I am announcing my candidacy for Senate in next year, in 2024. There'll be a primary in August and a general election in November. The new 15th senatorial district now comes in this direction and takes in a big chunk of, if not all, of town and country. And so I'm happy to represent this organization and this city to that body going forward. So I just wanted to introduce myself for those that do not know me. I know some of you, and just wanted to do that and let you know that if you have any questions or any issues, either with the county council that I can help you with, or in the future, my future run for the Senate for District 15, I'd be happy to take those questions at any time. I got my cards and my phone numbers on here. If the clerk could give that to the board, I'd sure appreciate it. The second thing I'd like to commend this board on is being able that you've, through your time and treasure, have granted your police department to participate in the new surge opportunities that are going on of police patrolling within the St. Louis County area. This is, if you're familiar with it or not, it is a new process or new technique that a lot of the police departments are participating in. And the central county region of which Town and Country has been participating in has been very fruitful from the standpoint of crime fighting and going after car thieves and other issues that happen in this area. And the surge is a way of adding more police on the street for at least one shift. And I've ridden with them on many occasions, and I encourage all of you to do the same because I think it's very enlightening as public officials. I think we need to know what's happening in the field, what the police are putting up with and dealing with on the street, the type of people they have to deal with, and the techniques that they have to be experts at every day they go out. So I've also ridden with the St. Charles Surge. They have a different program. It's a county-wide program, and a lot of what we're doing here, from what I understand, in St. Louis County is kind of modeling some of the things they're doing in St. Charles, and they've had some great results there as well. So I appreciate you having your police department participate. Baldwin's participated, Ladue, Chesterfield, Ellisville, Manchester, you name it. And everybody is giving their 2 officers or their equipment or their time to the surge shifts. And I think your chief knows more about the results, but from what I've heard, have been very positive. So I want to commend you for giving some of your time and treasure to these efforts. And I think over time, we're going to see some drastic reductions in many of these things, especially the car thefts that are going on right now. So with that, open up for questions if you have any questions for me.
I would like to thank you for taking time to come out and present yourself and let us know why your candidacy. I appreciate that very much.
Okay, I appreciate you all and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, I'll also state for the record that Alderman Weezahan and Allen have returned to the dais.
Perfect, thank you. Number 3, bill number 23-20. Alderman Allen and Francisco, without objection to the city clerk, read the bill for the second time.
Bill number 2320 is an ordinance authorizing the city administrator to execute a notice to proceed agreement with Music Construction for construction-related services associated with the Military and First Responders Tribute Project.
I seek a motion. Second. Second. Okay. Alderman Allen, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, this, you've heard about the task force multiple times. we have reached a point that we are in the process of asking you to move forward this letter of intent so that the construction documents will be provided. We've had commitments for funding, but right now, based on some of the verbiage in this memo and in the ordinance, we are in need of a $30,000 that we know would be there should the great residents and businesses of town and country end up not contributing $30,000 for this project. So I will ask for continuance, but I'd like to also embellish.
Well, I would be disappointed if you did not.
I'll do it quickly.
I know.
Thank you. Well, as we move forward, we will be highlighting many of our veterans. And this project is to honor our active military, our veterans, and our first responders. And as we had the three gentlemen here, sitting a couple seats from my husband, Mike Allen, they did recently all have attended the honor flight. If I could just comment on their names and a quick comment about each. Our gentleman in the green, that would be Ken. His name's Mr. Ken Winkler. He is a resident at Mason Point. He was an Army captain. He served in Vietnam. He has 2 sons and a daughter who have also served in our armed forces. With him and his 3 children, they actually have over 100 years of serving our country. And he is someone who enjoys life, a good person, a person in town and country that has a home that he values, and he's a fun person, and I've been honored to get to know him. To his left, Mr. Walt May. He was an Army captain, and he was during Korea. He actually was served in France on a secret mission. He became a nuclear bomb inspector. He has pretty good serve in our water volleyball team. They all cheer when he gets that over. And he also attended the honor flight. And I think most people in town and country would honor him along with his friend. Okay, then our third.
I read some stories about what went on at Chosin Reservoir in Korea, and that was Chosin Reservoir in Korea when the Marines, I think it actually were Marines who had to.
I wasn't in Korea, I was in France.
Oh, well, that's a good place to be in the Korean War.
During the Korean War, that's where I had my service time, and I was in France.
Okay.
For a special mission.
Well, thank you for your service.
Thank you
Thank you very much.
And then our third gentleman, Ron Horstman, also attended the honor flight. He participated in the Tet Offensive, which I can't even imagine about that. But, and one thing Ron said yesterday, I think some of us were talking, when, well, at least when Ron and Ken came back, it happened with my husband, they were told not to wear their uniforms because when they came back to the States, people were threatening them, spitting on them, and they just needed to look like an ordinary young man. And so Ron was a Signal Corps officer in the Army, and we're just happy that they all made it home. And they've had great lives, and they have a good home, and just as we move forward, I think it will be very worthwhile to point out all the veterans in our community, and we have many young active military, as we have our wonderful police and fire. And we heard just from Mr. Harder what all we get done with our police force. So thank you, gentlemen.
We're in Vietnam.
I had a signal site on a mountain near the Ho Chi Minh Trail called Fraley,
Okay.
and that's where I was stationed.
Thank you. That was the thing you're supposed to be.
Thank you for your service.
Absolutely.
So with this, Mayor, we're in the midst of, kind of like between the egg and the chicken. We are wanting to continue this for 2 more weeks
That's fine.
so we can meet this requirement and move forward.
Did we have a second on that? Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Alderman Allen.
Aye.
Alderman Francisco.
Aye.
Alderman Weezahan.
Aye.
Alderman Perot.
Aye.
Alderman Hughes.
Aye.
Alderman Even.
Aye.
Alderman Kinsella.
Aye.
And Alderman Schwer.
Aye.
It carries unanimously.
Moving on to new business, for bill number 23-21. Sponsored by the board as a whole, without objection, will the city clerk read the bill for the first time?
Bill number 2321 is an ordinance accepting the bid and authorizing an agreement with Sweetens Concrete Services for the 2023 crack sealing program.
Thank you. Bill number 2321 is continued to the meeting Monday, May 8th for the second reading and consideration. Next, bill number 23-22, be the board as a whole, without objection, the city clerk read the bill for the first time.
Bill number 2322 is an ordinance accepting the bid of America's Parking Remarking for the 2023 pavement striping program and authorizing an agreement for same.
Bill number 2322 is continued to the meeting of Monday, May 8th, 2023 for the second reading and consideration. Next, bill number 2323, the board as a whole. I seek a sponsor for the board as a whole, I'm sorry, without objection, the city clerk read the bill for the first time.
Bill number 2323 is an ordinance accepting the bid and authorizing an agreement with MB West Contracting for the 2023 asphalt pavement program.
Bill number 23-23 is continued to the meeting of Monday, May 8th, 2023 for the second reading and consideration. The warrant list is the amount of $319,940.72. Seek a motion and second to approve.
Second.
Alderman Allen, if you want to take
Yes, I have, Mayor, I did call Mr. Zeltman today, and I just thought there was something on here that's worth bringing up. And Mr. Shelton, and I do very much appreciate your weekly updates, that helps. But under this T Hill construction, and it was for the asphalt repair, so it's the crack sealing for this one street, and it was Manners Way. And in our comment, I think you said it's concrete. But, and so my question to Mr. Zeltman today was, do we have other streets like this? How did it come about that we have this wonderful, beautiful street on Manners Way, and the expense is exorbitant to maintain? And he has an interesting fact on how we got it.
Actually, asphalt repairs is a little more than crack seal, and it's a lot more expensive than crack seal.
Good.
Manners Way is concrete and required considerable joint repairs, which is very expensive and very time consuming. The other two streets on that list were merely patching, asphalt patching, and that's why they're less expensive. Actually, the fact I did I'll provide is that we accepted maintenance from MoDOT in 1984 for Manners Way. It was constructed with the 141 expansion.
So it was never a private street.
It was never a private street.
It was a gift from MoDOT to the city.
You can look at it that way, yes. We accepted it from MoDOT. It was brand new when we accepted it, and actually we've had no major repairs to it since 1984. So this year is the first year we've actually made some major
It
repairs.
does last.
It does, yes, ma'am.
Well, but, and this, you just look at the numbers, and often it helps to get what's behind the numbers.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Do we have any more streets like this, just out of curiosity?
Um,
We inherit it like this and they're all concrete?
I don't recall any that have joint damage like this one. Yeah, this is a bad one. We knew it was gonna be a bad one, so. We have a lot of other concrete streets, but many of those would be concrete replacement.
Thanks. Any other discussion on amendment on the warrant list? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I have nothing else to bring up, and I would caution the Alderman that it is actually. Trust me on that. Yes, go ahead.
If I may, the anonymous donor did come through and take care of underwriting the pet waste bags.
Okay.
The anonymous donor,
And
okay.
I don't recall if it's Progressive or Geico, one of those insurance commercials. Where there is one of the insurance agents says, look, 3 bags. All right, I will seek a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And second, any discussion? All in favor?
Thank you all.
There's cake in the community room.
Cake.